There is a story of an old man who carried a rotten piece of corn in his pocket for decades. When asked why, he said, "To remind me of all the things I've clung to long after they've turned to poison." Have you ever wondered what happens when something soft, something seemingly harmless, takes root in your life and quietly begins to rot from the inside? What if the most destructive force isn't the sharp, obvious pain, but the slow, suffocating decay of something you once believed was innocent? We spend our lives fearing the blade, the fire, the sudden crash. But what about the damp, the quiet erosion? The thing that doesn't scream but whispers, doesn't attack but settles. Soft corn, the idea that clings, the habit that comforts as it corrupts, the relationship that drains as it pretends to sustain. Why do we hold on to what no longer serves us? Why do we mistake familiarity for nourishment and comfort for truth? The Stoics knew this well. They spoke of the unexamined life as the true tragedy, not because it is loud in its suffering, but because it is silent in its surrender. Imagine a man who carries a small, rotting thing in his palm, pressing it close to his skin until the mold becomes part of him. He doesn't notice the smell anymore. He forgets it's even there, until one day he opens his hand and finds the rot has spread to his bones. What is your soft corn? The resentment you've nursed like a child. The excuse you've polished like a jewel. The love you've outgrown but still wear like a borrowed skin. The world will tell you to hold on, to cherish what once was, to mistake endurance for strength. But the philosophers ask a darker, deeper question. What if the bravest thing you can do is let go? Consider the sculptor again, not the one who adds, but the one who subtracts. Chipping away at the marble, not to create, but to reveal. What if your life is not about what you gather, but what you dare to release? The soft corn thrives in the dark, in the closed fist, in the refusal to look too closely. But here is the truth. You cannot heal in the same soil that made you sick. So let me ask you, when was the last time you emptied your pockets? When was the last time you stopped to ask, what am I carrying that no longer serves me? The answer is not in the grand gestures, the dramatic purging, the performative rebirth. It's in the quiet moments, the unglamorous admissions, the willingness to say, this no longer belongs to me. There is a moment in every life when the soft corn must be thrown away, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Not because you are strong, but because you are tired of pretending weakness is strength. The rot will not stop on its own. It will spread. It will whisper just a little longer until a little longer becomes too late. The Stoics called this memento mori. Remember, you must die. But perhaps there is a sister truth, memento vivere. Remember, you must live. And living requires release as much as it requires holding on. What would happen if you stopped fearing the emptiness of an open palm? What if the void you dread is not an abyss, but a doorway? Think of the monk who meditated in a cave for years, only to emerge and realize the cave was never the prison. It was the attachment to the cave that kept him trapped. The soft corn is not the thing itself, but the belief that you cannot survive without it. The longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes, until you forget you were ever meant to fly. So I ask you again, what is your soft corn? The dream you've deferred, the grudge you've fed, the version of yourself you've outgrown but still drag behind you like a shadow? The world will not ask you to let go. The world thrives on your clinging, your consuming, your silent decay. But the philosophers whisper another truth: you were never meant to carry corpses. And if this resonates with you, if you feel the weight of what you've been clutching, then stay with me. There is more to uncover. Like and subscribe, not because I ask you to, but because you sense the journey has only begun. Because the most dangerous thing is not the rot, but the refusal to see it. So let us begin there, in the space between what you hold and what you are. In the quiet, the discomfort, the unflinching question: what will you do when you finally open your hand? There is a fable about a scorpion and a frog. The scorpion begs for passage across the river, promising not to sting, and the frog, against its better judgment, agrees. Midway, the scorpion strikes, dooming them both. When the frog gasps, "Why?" the scorpion replies, "It's my nature." What is the nature of your soft corn? The thing you know harms you, yet you invite it closer, make excuses for it, pretend this time will be different. Comfort is the most convincing liar. It whispers, "Stay, endure, it's not that bad." But the Stoics asked, what is worse, the pain of letting go or the slow death of staying? We cling to rotten things because we fear the unknown more than we fear decay. A known misery feels safer than an uncertain freedom. But here is the truth. The soft corn does not love you back. It does not care if you thrive. It only asks that you remain still, small, manageable. Imagine a tree that refuses to shed its dead leaves. The weight drags its branches down, blocks the sunlight, chokes new growth. Yet the tree believes it is preserving itself. Are you that tree? Holding on to what is already gone, mistaking attachment for strength? The philosopher Epictetus, born a slave, knew the cost of clinging. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and it is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." What lies beyond your control? The past? Someone else's choices? The version of you that no longer exists? Your soft corn thrives in the illusion that you need it, that without it, you will unravel. But what if the opposite is true? What if the unraveling is the beginning? The ancient Vikings had a practice when they landed on foreign shores. They would burn their ships. No retreat, no turning back, only forward into the unknown. What ships do you need to burn? The hope that they will change, the fantasy that if you just endure a little longer, the pain will magically transform into wisdom, the lie that you are not strong enough to walk away. Nietzsche wrote, "You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes?" There is a violence in rebirth, a necessary destruction. The soft corn cannot be negotiated with, it must be abandoned. Think of Hercules in the Greek myths. His most grueling labor was not slaying the Hydra or capturing Cerberus. It was cleaning the Augean stables, a place so filthy, so saturated with decay, that no ordinary effort could purify it. He had to reroute 2 rivers to scour it clean. What rivers must you unleash? Half measures will not suffice. You cannot heal a wound by gently pressing a bandage over infection. You must cut. You must flood. You must set fire to the bridges that lead back to what poisoned you. There is a peculiar addiction to our own suffering, a perverse romance with the thing that destroys us. We dress it in poetry, call it love, loyalty, destiny, when in truth, it is just fear wearing a mask. The soft corn is a master of disguise. It convinces you that letting go would be betrayal, that walking away makes you a quitter, that your pain is noble, special, an integral part of your story. But the Buddhists say the arrow hurts, but the second arrow is when you blame yourself for being shot. Are you firing the second arrow, romanticizing the rot, mistaking endurance for purpose? The French writer Albert Camus wrote of Sisyphus, doomed to push a boulder up a mountain for eternity. Yet he found a strange happiness in the struggle. But here is the question. Are you rolling the boulder, or is the boulder rolling you? There is a moment in every hero's journey when they stand at the threshold. The cave is dark. The path is untraveled. Behind them, the familiar misery. Ahead, only possibility. What does it take to step forward? Not courage, not certainty, but the simple, terrifying decision that the pain of staying has finally outweighed the fear of leaving. The soft corn does not vanish on its own. You must drop it. You must let it fall. And when it hits the ground, you will realize it was never holding you up. You were holding it. One day, you will open your hand. You will let the soft corn fall. And when it hits the ground, you won't hear an explosion, just a quiet thud, like a weight you didn't know you were carrying finally rolling away. The world will not applaud. No one will hand you a medal for the losses you chose instead of endured. But the air will smell different, lighter, as if you've been holding your breath for years and only now remembered how to exhale. That's the secret no one tells you about freedom. It doesn't roar like a fire. It whispers like an empty room, like space where rot used to be. So tell me, what will you unclench your fingers from today?